Anyway, with Phil Brooks,
His name is not Phil Brooks, it's CM Punk. How many times do I have to repeat this to you? I'm sick of time. What the hell's that?
I don't know.
I think somebody's at the door.
Hey. You can't even film stuff without people knocking.
Well, you know, that's the way of the world. Who is it?
But don't start personally insulting me.
Huh?
But don't start personally insulting me.
Hannibal! Oh, no! Not that way!
Welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte and the Pharaoh, produced out of Indie Music TV from Ronkonkoma, Long Island. At the board, Matty Ice. Matty, how are you, bud?
I'm doing awesome. It's a pretty good day.
What'd you think about Thursday's interview with Big Ron Shaw? What were your thoughts about him freaking out?
Oh, boy.
Dude.
It threw you off your game, didn't it?
I can't believe someone would have... I mean, I guess it was on the phone call.
He was mean. Jeez. I was thrown off.
You know what the funny thing is? I never thought I was a face. Like, fans were
somehow
me. I'm a face.
Yeah, and you know what's weird? You really are a heel. So I'm so confused.
That's very interesting.
I'm so well, you are a heel. You got me to drop the faces.
Now I'm a face.
Oh, congratulations. Welcome to the Good Guy Club.
All right, Pharaoh, did a rocket hit the moon?
What? Did a what?
Just over a half an hour ago, and this was news from about a day and a half ago.
Half an hour ago?
Humanity accidentally made a new crater on the far side of the moon. The culprit is most likely an abandoned stage of a Chinese rocket from 2014.
All this
it's
in
a
Corona,
good reminder not just to throw your unwanted tools in the old place.
What is China doing? It's got the Wuhan market. Whoops. Right. Which, by the way, is turning out to be a fact.
Sure.
No matter what political side you're, you know how I feel about politics, but
gotcha.
No matter what side you're on, it's turning out, it's coming out of the Wuhan market, the Corona thing.
Oh, so you're gonna
wait a minute, and now they're blowing craters into the moon.
You're gonna buy that?
Will somebody get them responsible already?
Seriously, you're gonna buy that propaganda.
What propaganda?
Of that Wuhan
I know.
market.
I believe in my heart of hearts that China messed up and released the coronavirus.
So you don't think it was a
and it's got nothing to do with the guy that was in the office before the guy who's in office currently, because I can't stand politics.
Look,
go ahead.
We've been suspended for Corona, so we will limit the.
I'm not. Coronavirus. Please don't suspend this.
Coronavirus has forms of HIV in it. It has a whole bunch of things.
Does
it? Did not come from reptiles.
No.
Okay.
Definitely not.
I'm sorry.
So you don't think it was from the Wuhan market?
No, I think it's from Wuhan. I just don't think it's from the market.
It's from a lab somewhere.
That's right.
Okay, I will not argue with that. That's your opinion. You have a right to that.
Lions and tigers and bears.
Oh my!
Driven out of Ukraine to safety in a Polish zoo.
What?
Truck carrying 6 lions, 6 tigers, 2 bears, and an African wild dog from the sanctuary east of Kyiv. Was it Kyiv? Whatever the hell it is.
Okay,
reached Poland on Thursday after a 2-day drive to escape Russian invasion.
What?
A Polish zoo official
said.
save
the animals.
Thoughts on that?
That's cool. Save the animals. I don't know what Putin's up to. Putin's being very aggressive. You know, no matter what you stand.
You know, it's funny.
Why does Russia need the Ukraine anyway? Russia's all powerful. Stop it. You don't need more real estate. Chill out. You're good to go. You're already like a Hogan or a Savage.
Right.
Relax yourself. Relax yourself and leave the animals alone. Leave the women and children alone.
When you think about war,
wow, I suddenly became very Woodstock.
You
I don't know
but
what's
you
going
know what?
on
It's
here.
actually good.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
I want to give a shout out to the fans out there joining us on the
Who
first leg of the Monte and the Pharaoh marathon. We got Phil out there. Rick
What
B.
is up, Phil? What is up, Rick B?
Chris Lee, who's from
802.
Australia, who's a big fan of
Hello,
our
mate.
special guest.
I love Chris
and
Lee.
He's very, very excited.
Very good.
ESO
Outback Jack.
Creative,
That's
a
right.
sponsor of ours, and
ESO.
people will be joining very shortly.
Love our family.
Absolutely.
Very nice. Very
Absolutely.
nice. What else you got?
If anyone didn't know it, that is the star of the show, Mr.
Where?
Jimmy
Who?
Pharaoh to my right.
That's me. Hi. How you doing?
I'd like to thank the band that sings the theme song for Monte and the Pharaoh, own Jimmy Pharaoh, along with his partner, Bart Griggs.
Bart man.
Make the part of the band with Stereo Hall.
That
With
was a
Stereo
good
Hall
one.
sings such great songs as In
Great
My
songs.
Dreams.
That's
This
right.
Life, Not Far Behind.
right.
Here Comes the Rain.
As per Jeff
Find their
Rumpling.
music
Great songs.
on the Go to the
That's right.
Wisteria Hall
Thank you, Jeff.
YouTube page. Hit that like and subscribe. Spotify,
Hit it.
iTunes, Reverb Nation.
Please hit it.
So I keep
Please.
saying iTunes. I mean,
It's
Apple
all good. We
Music.
know what you mean.
And if you didn't know it, you are watching Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte and the Pharaoh, where you can catch us on the Monte and the Pharaoh YouTube page, the Monte and the Pharaoh Facebook Live page.
We're all over
Hear
the
us on
place.
iHeartRadio,
We're
Spotify,
everywhere.
Anchor, Monte
Everywhere.
and the Pharaoh Twitch TV page.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky to live in New York, you catch
Lucky
us
enough.
on Channel 115 every Thursday at
Yes, sir.
9:30 p.m.
Saturday
and
Night
on
Live?
Saturday night at 11:30 against
That's
Saturday
right.
Night Live.
Yeah,
Where
we're
you-
pulling in 83,000 people on Saturday nights just for your
Thank you,
info.
sir.
Just
Thank
for
you
your
for that.
info. So
And those
there you go.
83,000 people will get to see this legend,
Yes. Yes.
Outback Jack. who's
6'5", 300 pounds,
a beast.
as big as ever.
A beast.
You damn Skippy.
I got to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm just talk straight.
You're going to be honest with me?
I think I
Okay.
want to interview his wife instead.
What? That's rough. What are you talking
His
about?
wife's cool as
She's
shit,
very
bro.
cool.
His wife is cool
Yeah,
as
but
shit.
you know, behind every great wrestler, there's a great woman. So I
Really?
look at this. The hot sauce is
knock hot
falling.
sauce over it. Don't
we
knock
just
over the
started
wine.
drinking, and the hot sauce is falling. This
We
is
want to
rough.
thank Amazon Music for
Rough.
adding the Monte and the Pharaoh
Yes.
show to their page. And we want to thank you, all you fans, who've you made us #8 most watched
true. It's a big
pro
world.
wrestling
It's a
show
big world.
on the globe.
Not bad.
We'll be right back with this pro wrestling superstar, Outback Jack.
in a moment.
Thank you.
See you in a second, folks.
You need a body shop? You need engine repair? Auto Excellence, Collision Specialists, 631-261-6420. That's 631-261-6420. Auto Excellence.
That's right, folks. Canine Corral for all your dog daycare and overnight care. Call 631-549-1544. That's 631-549-1544. And APB, American Protection Bureau, voted #1 best on Long Island for all your security needs. Call 631-390-9050. That's 631-390-9050. APB.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestler broadcast, Monte and the Pharaoh, only seen here out of Indie Music TV, where we have our special guest,
Yes.
Outback
Yes.
Jack, baby.
How are you, sir?
Well, g'day. It's good to be here.
It's great to
Wow,
be here.
It's very Australian.
You are the first leg of a very long night for us.
Yes.
And we thank you for taking your time, coming in studio and speaking with us. You are a true legend, sir. But first, may I address you in saying, shall I call you Outback or should we call you Peter? What would you rather be called?
Jack.
Yeah, I want to call him Jack.
That's not
I wouldn't
up to
call
you.
him Peter.
It's up to him.
I understand it's up to him, but to me,
So,
he's Outback Jack.
You were at one of the biggest signing events
Yes.
of the year, which is called the Big Event in New York. I think this is the first time I've seen you there in at least since
we
we've been
started.
doing it.
Good, fair enough.
How was it?
It was okay, mate. It was actually very good, very well attended, by chaps wanting their gear signed and purchased and autographs and so on. And it was at a brand new venue, and they did a very, very nice job. A lot of baseball talent there, a lot of wrestling talent, a lot of female talent. There was, as in wrestlers, not female wandering around in their bikinis, but.
Well, I'd like that too. Either or. I'll go with either one.
Yeah. Hey, you know, I just thought of something.
Go ahead.
In the introduction, I heard you talking about the Wuhan lab and the Wuhan market and
Okay.
Wuhan.
You have at it, brother. What do you think?
The thing that's the cause of the Wuhan virus and COVID-19 is kangaroos seeking their revenge on the world for Ugg boots. And that's it in a nutshell, mate.
Can I ask you? This is a very serious question. Are kangaroos intelligent? Or are they just rodents?
Kangaroos rule.
No, kangaroos aren't bright, mate. When you
not
when you
bright?
get their heads in the scope of a Winchester 270, they stand there and look at you and boom,
Really?
vapor.
So they're bad.
Vapor. You just said vapor.
Wait a minute. So wait a minute. They're stupid and they're not badasses at least.
No, they're not.
Jack,
Wow.
Jack, you don't shoot kangaroos, do you?
This
Really?
is rough. No, you don't. Say no.
Well, for food,
Okay.
You
if
eat
you
a
want
kangaroo?
stringy meat,
Wait a minute.
What does kangaroo meat taste like?
Thank you.
stewed boots.
Okay. So you shoot them for food, but they taste like boots. Whatever you're taking, can I have some? Or what are you talking
I
about?
don't even need a script for it.
This is rough. Can I move on to the script yet? Should I?
No, not yet.
There's a
Not yet?
script.
Because I really want to know
We actually come
something
prepared.
serious.
Hilariously enough, what do you got?
Nobody gave me a script, and I'm blind.
We put it in Braille. Would you please?
No,
Oi, would you?
legitimately.
Yes.
Do you kill kangaroo?
He
I
do-
gotta know.
I think
course.
he does.
In all honesty, kangaroos are considered a noxious pest. And the reason they are is because they outnumber the population by about 5 to 1.
Wow.
And they chase the rain. And when they chase the rain, they chase the new growth of grass.
Okay.
And of course, when the kangaroos come through, it's like plagues of locusts. And they take away your grass, destroy your fences, and take away all the food for your stock, whether it be sheep or whether it be beef.
So kangaroos are actually the Australian version of a bigger rat with a larger tail.
Bigger than that's in Manhattan,
Wow. This is.
unless you call
Well,
them
wait a minute, hold
politicians.
on.
That's messed
Manhattan's
up.
got much better, by the way. Just so you know, there's not like
It
a lot
has?
of rats in Manhattan.
Are you sure?
But on
This
a
isn't
serious
Rudy
note,
anymore.
are kangaroos that stupid? I thought they were intelligent
I thought that they
animals.
were smart.
Not really.
No,
Really? Huh.
interesting.
Yeah,
That's
they're
messed
they're
up.
about as intelligent as a deer, I guess. I mean,
Okay.
Well,
All
deer's
right.
not that smart.
Yeah, they're really
Not smarter than a dog.
oh, not even close to a dog.
Okay. Okay. All right.
See, I'm learning. That's the best thing about the show. You learn
Yeah,
stuff.
I actually learned something.
So here's what I want to understand, Jack.
Yes, Monty.
What are your thoughts? How did you know it was
he's
Monte? I
with
thought
it.
you were blind.
What? He knows the name of the show. He doesn't need
I'm
to have
loving
a
it. No,
problem
but I'm
with it.
loving it.
I do my verbal research.
There you go.
friggin' awesome.
There you go. Go ahead.
What do they think in Australia about the United States right now?
Ooh, that's
I know you're living in Florida. I get it.
okay.
But you still probably got contacts in Australia.
Oh, you're a
what
bu-
do
you're a
peop-
bunch
what
of
are the
drongos.
opinions of the
I mean,
United
Australia's
States
got
right now?
British ties, and we obviously have irreversible ties to Britain, being America. What is Australia's take on?
Yeah, see, but the British sent us to Australia because we were all prisoners.
Okay.
The
Okay.
British had ties to you because they wanted to take over the world.
Interesting. Interesting. Interesting.
Very smart.
Has Britain diminished in power? In the big sense of things, or does England still hold?
If you're talking in a geopolitical sense, they're most definitely a powerful nation and
Sure.
a powerful country, and they
Sure.
carry some sway in the European Union, even though there was Brexit.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, you've got to pay attention to them. You
Sure.
know, they've got nuclear weapons. They've got nuclear powered submarines.
As Australians, are you guys still like? Is there still loving respect towards it? I mean, honestly, as an American, look, we speak English. I always feel a connection to England. Maybe other Americans don't, but I do. I have a love for England. Does Australia have a love and connection to England currently?
It depends who's winning in the Ashes.
Interesting. Okay, go on. Explain.
The Ashes is a cricket match.
Okay.
And,
okay.
If England wins, we hate them. If we
Okay.
win, we still hate them.
I don't
Yeah,
get
but India's always in the middle of this, and it annoys the crap
Did you
out of me
say
when it comes
India?
to and cricket. Yes, India's
No,
in the
but can
middle.
can I ask a question?
Yes.
I
All right,
watch
first
some
of all, I
cricket.
want to understand the world of fair
Test.
question, but now you got into cricket.
Okay.
What's the deal with cricket? I don't even get it.
Cricket's awesome. It's just an
It's fabulous.
international
It's
game
like
that-
playing baseball, but you play 360 degrees.
Right.
And
Right.
your men, and because men play cricket, they don't wear gloves.
Right. 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 What's the story with India with their prominence in cricket, though? Doesn't that like?
Look,
Gets you pissed off? To me, it's like Australia.
no,
England,
look,
India.
everybody's got their chance to be on top for a bit. You know, New Zealand was on top for a bit, and that's
Right.
only a nation of 3 and a bit million
Right,
people.
right,
You know,
right.
India can be on top, and they've
Is-
got a population
so cricket's a
of
work.
1.2 billion.
Cricket's a
not
work,
a
is what you're
work.
saying.
What are
They
you
put
talking-
different nations, they let them
That's
win,
rough.
so they stay on top.
No, they go in and out of power shifts
That's,
depending on.
of course.
Right.
He's not very
Wait.
bright, is he? The Pharaoh.
Is American football to an Australian because of rugby? New Zealand is your nearby neighbor. Is American football like pussified compared to rugby?
Oh no, good grief, no. Look, rugby. You
'Cause
can't really
rugby's
compare
beastly.
the two because I played rugby and it's a pretty tough game up in the wheelhouse.
yeah.
I mean, but you know, you don't wear helmets. Rugby's gotten
shoulder
a little
pads.
more soft from the standpoint that now you have to. Used to you smash heads, try and get control over headbutting someone, knock them out so you could get your head closer to the ball and control the ball. But now they have you go in bind. And you bind your heads and necks, so there are no more neck injuries, so nobody has to buy you beers anymore at the pub when you're in a wheelchair.
They have watered down rugby.
They've watered down rugby,
Wow,
yes.
that's crazy.
It's a much
That is
faster
crazy.
game than it used to be, but
I love it.
having played Aussie rules and rugby league is the game I played, and been a very great fan of the New England Patriots.
Okay. Wait a minute.
Oh, interview over.
Wait a
Interview
minute.
over.
We're done.
You mean the football team that Tom Brady used to play for?
The one
you
that Tom
realize
Brady
you're in
used
New
to.
York with the Jet fans here?
I
What
know.
Are you? Take that back. Take that back. We hate Tom Brady. We hate the Patriots. They stole our head coach.
No, but hey, look, I will always hate the Jets and
He's
Bill
killing us.
Parcells for this very reason. The Patriots were going to the Super Bowl.
Who was?
And the Patriots were playing in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And it was that gap week between the last game and the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And what does Bill Parcells do? I'm leaving you after the game's over.
That's
I'm
right.
going to
He was
join
coming to the Jets
Yeah.
to fix
I mean,
a hex.
talk about a cowardice act and an absolute spineless,
plus.
disloyal thing to do. Play your team to the end and then open your mouth, not before.
So, okay, let me get this straight. Australia, Florida, and somehow you become a fan of the new. I smell bandwagon. What's going on here?
Oh no. I actually, when I first got here, I lived in Boston.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh, you did.
That's a little different. I'm
And
gonna give
actually,
him
the
a
only
pass.
two teams I like in Boston are the Red Sox and the Patriots.
No, he likes the Red Sox and the Patriots, and he's in New York. This is rough. This is painful. He's got all the championships since 2000. What the hell am I going to say?
Back to the
This
original
is
question.
rough.
What is Australia's thoughts
Okay.
on the United States of America?
Yeah,
at
let's-
Oh
this
yes,
point
to
in
give you
time?
the answer nice and clear,
Okay.
we think you're a pack of drongos.
Wow.
Wow, there
I
you
love
go.
Australia. I'm not going to change
I
my
Told you
opinion.
I'd swear
I'm
at you in
not changing
Australian.
my opinion. I love Australia.
Wow.
I'd love to go there and hang out.
They don't listen very well, do they?
What?
I said I told you I'd swear at you in Australian.
He swore at us in Australian. I wouldn't even know if he did.
I can't
He get it right
I can't
past us.
speak Australian.
What?
Fortunately, I can, and I can interpret for you.
So what is Monte and the Pharaoh in Australia? Go ahead. Are we wankers or is that English?
No, you're assholes.
There we go. He's going straight to it. I like him.
We're assholes in
Dude, he's
Australia.
the speed of this program. He works for me. All right, folks.
By the
these
way-
assholes are going to
By
ask
the way,
a couple of
if you
questions.
didn't know, we're
to a
very
wrestling legend.
popular in Australia. So I guess
Yeah, they like us
I
over
guess they
there.
like assholes.
Isn't
in
that
Well, I
Australia.
like you even better because you know you've got one of their brethren on.
There we go.
Wait, do you-
There we go. How's Sydney FC doing over there? How's football in Australia?
You know, unfortunately, I haven't been home for about 30 years.
Really?
So
It's time to go home.
I do follow a little bit. I used to play for a feeder side to the Sydney Swans in Aussie rules,
Okay.
Campbelltown Swans.
Okay.
So I don't know. I watched a game of rugby, the rugby league, a while ago, and I was stunned, absolutely stunned how fast it was.
Okay.
Just stunning.
Have you thought about going home? Bringing the lovely missus with you, perhaps? I don't
There's-
think she's
there's-
seen
there's-
Australia.
There are better places to go. You know, I've thought about
Okay.
moving to the fifth rock on the third ring of Saturn. just to get away from
I
places.
like Saturn. It's the rings. The rings mesmerize.
Just go to the moon.
Go to the moon.
You can't go
China
to
already
you
put
can't go to the moon. You can't go to the moon because China's doing secret bomb tests on the other side just to test to see what it's going to be like to bomb Russia when they're sick of Russia.
Do you see World War?
There you go, sir.
Hold on.
Yeah, wait, hold on.
Go ahead.
Don't let that slide because he's got it right. He
I
nailed
think he
it.
kinda nailed
we
it,
will
yeah.
fund you until we're tired, and then guess what? Our partners over here in the U.S., we really can't mess with them because that's the world economy. So then we will
Wall
just
Street.
bomb you in Russia.
Do you see World War III coming out, back, Jack? I mean, what's
You know,
going on?
look, I'm old enough now, and I even though I'm only 64, I get petrified that I'm seeing a reversal or a redo of Adolf Hitler when he went into Poland in 1938.
Oh boy!
Wow.
Wow!
And-
You're
and-
nailing it. Go ahead.
And it just is petrifying to see.
Is Putin the comparative?
Putin's completely the comparative.
Yeah.
The thing
He's a
is,
man of peace. He just wants a piece of
pieces of
Crimea,
everybody.
Piece of. Yeah, you know where I'm going with this. Okay.
Of course.
Okay.
I mean,
Wow.
Putin's, look, I don't even know if he's a madman. I don't even know if Rasputin could keep up with him.
Right.
But he's a bad, bad man.
Yeah.
And the mere fact that the West, all of the West, Europe, US, Britain, everybody, has ignored his antics
Right.
for 20 years
Right.
is beyond me.
Are you relieved that China at least abstained on the
No,
latest
because
vote?
look,
Or
that's
is that
like,
just political maneuvering?
that's like saying certain words to your current girlfriend.
Okay.
And about promising checks in the mail and so
Interesting. Okay.
Well, I've said it a million times, right? I mean, China and the U.S. have a very poor relationship, a bad marriage, but it's
Right.
a marriage that's
Nec-
stuck
necessary.
forever. It's
Right.
like a bad marriage that
Financially
will
necessary.
never
Right.
end.
Right.
And you know what? You'll advance to a certain point, and then things will have to change. All right, hit it.
So, do we
Pharaoh.
want to flip it over to some wrestling? You
ahead.
started in Canada, Mr. Outback Jack.
Yes.
With Stu Hart, so many greats. Obviously,
Yes.
the Hart family. Bret Hart, Brian Pillman was involved, Davey Boy Smith.
Yes.
Of course, and Dynamite Kid.
Yes.
I've heard some bad things about Stu. Can you clear us up as far as your memories of Stu?
I have no memories of Stu because I have Alzheimer's, and
Okay.
I was trained by Les Thornton up in Canada. in
That's
Calgary.
impressive enough. How about Les Thornton? Give us your
Les
memories of-
Thornton's a marvelous chap. The classic man of 1,000 holes, knew his stuff,
Right.
knows the business. That's the
Right.
important part.
Right.
The stuff people don't get when you come into break into any industry, nobody tells you the secrets, and then you wander around like you're a dumbass for years until finally say you're hopeless, get out of here. But nobody's told you the secrets, so you're made to look like a dumbass.
How thorough was Les's training? I mean, did he?
Oh, it was great. I was with Les, and there was Bill Kazmaier, the world's strongest man.
Yeah.
And another chap, Dave Barbie. Dave
Sure.
Barbie, he joined the genuine 500-pound bench press club.
Right, right.
Strong man, great man, very pleasantly quiet.
How'd you hook up with Les Thornton? How do you wind up? Oh, by the way, my trainer
well, not just that. Like,
is Les Thornton.
What
I mean,
makes
how do
you
you
decide
find
to even become a wrestler? Like, what? I'm just going to be a wrestler? Like, what happens?
that too?
How did that happen? I was working in the Humpty. Well, actually, I wasn't working in the pub, but I was at the pub every Saturday morning. We go to the pub from stations near and far. We'd come into town, and you'd obviously get rid of all your pay, and you'd drink as much beer as you could. And then
Of course.
you'd watch a Wide World of Sport, and of course on Wide World of Sport, direct from Madison Square Garden, was World Wrestling Federation. And we'd watch and we'd carry on and hoot and holler. And anyway, one day out of the blue, in walks this fella with a foot-long cigar, freshly lit, smallish bloke, but this fella, and said his name was Arnold Scoland.
Wow.
And along with Arnold Scoland was Junkyard Dog. I think they came along for the ride, although they weren't terribly welcome, was Brutus the Barber Beefcake and Greg the Hammer Valentine.
The dream
Do
team.
you
And
hear
they
this?
wanted to know what an Australian cattle station was like. So I said, hey, you've got a show in town? They said, yeah, we're showing tonight. I said, take all the pub, We'll go in and watch the show, and then tomorrow morning I'll take you out at Sparrow's Fart, and I'll show you the station I work on. And that's how it happened. Took them out. I introduced them to Mary and Joe Groves, to their property. They were quite impressed that when we got off the road, the front gate to the main house was 88 miles. So it was a decent-sized farm. It was about 600 plus square miles. And they thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. We shot and killed the buffalo, butchered it, grilled it.
He's shooting animals again. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes,
Go
only
ahead.
to survive.
Did you eat it?
Of course we did.
All right, that's different.
I don't shoot
good.
animals.
It's got
to
a
be
happy
cruel.
ending. Okay.
Always, yes.
Okay.
Very, very tasty.
Okay.
Anyway, 3 weeks later, I get a big old letter from Bluey Drucker at the pub. Actually, this big letter came for you from the States. I said, oh. And inside was a hugs and kisses, come to Jesus, and we'll give you all this money. And that was that.
Wow.
Do you discount this as just fate? Do you realize what happened here? The story you just told. I mean, was this fate that led you to pro wrestling? I mean, you're in a bar and all of these guys walk in.
Look, I think the thing
This
was...
has got to be fate.
In '86, Vince was at the peak of gathering all... I don't necessarily want to say the best talent from around the world, but the most unique talent.
Sure.
And he could shape it into his own, with his own pound of clay, as it were.
Right.
So
Still doing it.
I tickled his fancy as Outback Jack.
What does Paul Hogan mean to you? Crocodile Dundee. Obviously, the timing was when the movie came out, and I saw the movie. You saw the movie. I think we saw it together. Crocodile. It was huge. How do you feel about? What is your impressions on Paul Hogan and how he helped shape, either directly or indirectly, what happened with Outback Jack?
Well, Outback Jack wasn't so much Crocodile Dundee,
Right.
as more of his mate Donk.
Okay. Okay.
And,
You're going to have to translate a little for us
his
shallow
mate-
Long Islanders.
his big mate at
his
the
mate
pub-
Doink.
his
Donk?
big mate at the pub that
Okay.
had the spike haircut and the blue singlet on, his name was Donk, D-O-N-K.
Gotcha.
And that means an engine, a donk.
Okay.
And Donk, well, was considered not terribly bright, but he was funny and he was as tough as a gum tree, an old gum tree.
So Vince saw the parallel between the
No, he
crocodile-
didn't see the parallel.
He didn't?
He saw the parallel between me and Dundee.
Okay.
Of course,
okay.
I mean, everything that Dundee did, I did.
Right.
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 You know,
Right.
but in a real sense, Paul Hogan painted a bridge.
Had you seen Crocodile? Then,
Oh, of course. I
at
saw
the-
it when
at
it
the
first
time?
came out.
Interesting.
I
Okay.
had to admit, I sat there with tears in my eyes.
I love Paul Hogan. I thought he was fantastic.
Well, I was in love with Linda
It's a great
Kozlowski.
movie.
The sequel wasn't as good.
That's
as the
not a
first
knife.
One, but,
This
you
is.
know, how
That
many
was.
how many sequels
Come on.
could you do?
Yeah, that's true.
3.
So they only did 2, right?
I
3.
think so.
They did
They
3?
made
Well,
3?
a total of 3.
Really? I
Really?
forgot
Yeah,
about the
Dundee,
third.
and then he did the one with his son, and then he did another one.
Son of
with his-
Crocodile Dundee.
I think so, yeah. I'm not sure.
Honestly, I only thought there was 2. I think it was
Yeah.
No,
I remember
look,
too.
I might be wrong too. I thought there was 3, total of 3
Hey, look,
films.
I'm not
You
gonna
might be
argue.
right.
You're a
you
legend,
might be
so
right.
I won't argue.
I don't
So
remember.
you did not train with Look, everybody knows your problems with Dynamite Kid and everything else, but you didn't train with him at first, or you just
No,
met him
never.
when you were in the
How did-
WWE?
They'd already, the Bulldogs had already gone to the WWF. They'd been down with Vince for 2 years before I ever got there.
What were your thoughts when Dynamite Kid passed? Were you like, fuck him? Pardon my French, but I forewarned you. I mean, how did you feel when he passed away? Were you like, bittersweet, or, good, he was a jerk anyway? What was your thoughts?
Look, when a man passes over and goes across the Rainbow
Right.
Bridge, as it were,
Right.
he's got to go in peace.
Understood.
And
Understood.
Had he still been alive,
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have spit on him if he was on fire. But
Understood.
he'd passed, so
Understood.
he gets to be forgiven.
Was he truly as nasty as some of the stories we hear? I mean,
Absolutely.
why do you think he was that way? He did not have to be that way. The fans loved him. He was a great wrestler. We all appreciate it. What was his problem?
I don't know. I'd only be surmising, and I wouldn't want this to be considered in a lawsuit.
No. Just being fair. What was
Right.
your take? Why was he like
He was
this?
short.
Okay.
I mean,
Napoleon complex? I mean, what are we talking?
Napoleon complex,
Fair enough.
completely, and also being an Englishman. They
Okay.
hate. The most of the time they're unhappy. And I don't
Interesting.
say that as a generalization.
Okay.
You get a bunch of fellas that are cockneys and they want to fight the world. And they just nothing makes them happy.
Right.
And anything that somebody else gets or does drives them insane. And he had the ability, because he was a major league talent
Sure.
with Vince,
Sure.
that he could pull stunts off and would never get called on the carpet
Was
about
Davy Boy Smith as bad as him, or was he?
it. No, not even close.
So not even close.
Davy Boy Smith tried to be, but he couldn't.
Tried to be.
Well, he tried to. When I say tried to be, but Davy
Just didn't work.
didn't
Yeah.
have the comedic timing. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
And he was a decent bloke, and as a matter of fact, to bear that out, he had a wonderful son who's a champion bloke.
Right.
I was sadder about Davy Boy Smith going than I was about Tom Billings.
Okay. How about Dynamite's ring legendary status? Do you agree with that? I mean, as far as the wrestling itself.
Look, he was a hell of a worker.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. I could be questioned as being barely average, but I made people laugh. I had people liking me, and that was the name of the
Effective.
game.
Well,
And, you
bottom
wanted
line
me
is
to take a
effective.
bump, I took the
Right.
bump.
You were entertainment, right?
Right.
I mean,
Yes.
that's what wrestling is. It's entertainment.
I
right?
tend to think
for
that
the
too,
hardcore fan, maybe
Sure.
a little different, and I understand
Well,
that. but,
yes and no, but the thing is that I'm doing a different job.
Right.
My
Right.
job,
And did it well.
I was a face. My
Right.
job was to be a face, and my job was to believe in myself and who Outback Jack was. The same as Bob Buckland believed in himself as the world
Absolutely.
champion.
Sure.
And that might sound tinfoil nut mad, but it's not.
Makes sense.
It's something you've got to give back to your audience.
Does Vince have it right with the balance? Like, Vince McMahon's interpretation of professional wrestling leans more towards the entertainment, but I believe that there's still plenty of good wrestling involved. Is Vince accurate in his how he presents the product to the public?
I think Vince is very attuned in with what is socially acceptable at present, and is. I think you'll see things swing back to the way they were, like Nikolai Volkov was the world's most hated heel, him and the Iron Sheik.
Right.
And it'll swing back that way because human nature swings back that way. And it's been long enough time. I mean, the fellas at work now, they're incredible athletes.
Sure.
And a lot of them have wrestling experience and were phenomenal collegiate wrestlers. I couldn't knock the skin off a cusset when it come down to collegiate wrestling. I'd last about 7.5 seconds.
Do you still watch wrestling today?
Occasionally, yeah, I do. I
Okay.
do.
What's
you
your
know.
take on the current state of the product? If you have one.
Current state of the what?
The current state of the product itself that they're presenting to the viewing audience.
The current state of the fraud?
Of the product.
Oh,
you
the
know?
product. Okay.
of the wrestling.
How do you
product.
feel
Oh, the
about
pro-
the wrestling,
Look-
more so the wrestling in the ring itself?
The fellas are all in there tough, and they're tough fellas. We were all tough fellas. Anybody that got into the WWF/E were tough guys. There's no way around it. Wasn't a place for babies, and these fellas are so capable of their fighting ability. I mean, Brock Lesnar going to the UFC or whatever it is.
Right.
That's not for the faint of heart either. And although I unfortunately managed to see him on YouTube get beaten every time he goes in there, but that's probably for the
He
promotion.
actually had a
thing.
pretty good run. I mean, he was champion,
Yep.
for a while. And yes, he took his loss on the way out the door, but in general, he actually helped legitimize pro wrestling, if you think
Yeah,
about it.
I think the thing, to go back to the serious nature of your question, people know what professional wrestling is. It tells a story. It's entertaining.
Right.
So to build its bona fides back, it has to be and seem to be even more tough. And now you've got fellas in there that are literally beating the crap out of one another, doing holds that and making maneuvers that are dangerous. And and it's just, it's the way it is, and that's what social media is a spectator. Social media is full of parasites. They just want to see what is going to happen next. I mean, you could see a young girl nowadays stand in the middle of a street and look at an oncoming bus and say, oh my God, I've got to film this. It's like, darling, get out of the fucking road.
Very smart.
And wouldn't be smart enough to do it.
He's right. Yeah, but it'll get more views if I just stand here and let the bus hit me.
Well, it's,
You know?
it's funny. It's really not funny how the
He's
world
right.
has turned. Social media.
He's so right. Oh my God.
Social media has really changed the world to the positive and to the negative. Jack, I want to bring it back a little bit.
More so
Your
to
wonderful
the
wife's
negative,
here.
but yes,
yes. Tell me about your wife a little bit.
Christina,
Christina,
she's from South Africa.
South Africa. Very
Yes.
good. How do we get Australia and South Africa to meet in the middle?
It happened one night. I was staying in a hotel. I came back 17 sheets to the wind, and I noticed her for the first time, and I noticed she had very blue eyes.
Okay.
And I said, you've got very beautiful blue eyes.
17 sheets of the
And I
wind.
walked away. And then I came back 25 minutes later, and I said, that's not the drink just talking. And I walked away again.
Nice. Very nice.
It's a good move.
That's killer right there.
That's
Yeah,
killer.
and she took me for coffee the next day.
There we go.
I didn't have the heart to tell her I don't
There
drink
we
coffee.
go. Well, you realized in between the first statement that you had to smooth this one over, or?
Oh no, it's up to her to smooth it over.
Very good. I like him. He's got a good style. He's got a good style. That works for me.
Wow.
Do you want to take the next one over here? Because I think it's you.
I got
but,
it. Relax.
I'm trying to relax, but I've had too many. So.
So, yeah, I know. I think that's going to be the last one for you. Show one. Last
This
drink
is
for the
rough.
Pharaoh.
This is terrible. 4 shows to go.
Outback. A little bit of a tough question, right?
Okay.
You've had some physical conditions happen to you.
Yes.
Tell the people out there emotionally what kind of toll that might take on you, and how it felt when these things started happening to your body, and how do you stay strong?
You got to look at things a certain way. You know, there's chaps will say I've got to go to God, and that's quite reasonable. I've got to go and become friends with, I don't know, Zeus. Okay. I've got to go but the strength either comes from yourself or is supplied from within, or it's not. And I'm not necessarily saying I'm some sort of superhuman or anything. I was very distraught when I started to lose my eyesight.
Sure.
And the only thing that helped me with that was I managed to be introduced to a thing called the Lighthouse. And the Lighthouse is a nationwide organization that helps people that are having vision loss and eventually become have full vision loss. It teaches them to adapt and gives them assistance in learning to read Braille, how to function, how to work in a kitchen. No, your own kitchen I'm talking about, you know, and how to do everyday things but you do it just with your eyes closed, even though if they are closed on a permanent basis. And the other thing they teach you to do, they teach you to get back into computing. And that's the thing that actually saved my ass, was being able to compute. I used to type at 70 words a minute from days gone by, and you know, you left that go away, and then it was like, hey, wait a minute. I can use this thing and be taught how to go back on the computer. And there's a company out of Clearwater, Florida called Freedom Scientific, and they have done all kinds of wonderful things for the blind community with a software package called JAWS. And JAWS is a package that takes over your computer and does every single key strike you want and reads it to you, tells it to you, gives you commands, helps you how to do commands. So you've got no fear of doing anything. Even photographs, you get an image in, it will describe the image for you. And very, very powerful software package. There's another Humanware is another one, and they make products, physical products, like enhancers to vision enhancers, so you can you put your whatever you want to read down on a desk. That's an XY tray that moves around, and then it magnifies, and you can magnify it up. And this is good for people with a diabetic retinopathy or good grief, what am I thinking of? The one with the macular degeneration or any sort of vision loss. And they do these things, and that gets into the VA for chaps that have served and have had vision loss from injuries in many of the arenas that are overseas. So that helped me tremendously. And I wasn't a fella that necessarily gave up, and it was a little disappointing when I ended up volunteering my lower left leg to science. Science hasn't even written back yet to say it was good. But now that I've got a nice prosthetic on there, it's just like walking. Actually, sometimes it's so much easier. You get up and you go, oh God, I got to get out of bed. And you pull on your inner sleeve, you pull on your outer sleeve, pull on a pair of stockings, slip it up, and I'm up and standing in about a minute. Right. And I can get it and walk out. And I'm like, hey, that was great. I can snap on whatever. I want primrose pink pumps. I can put primrose pink pumps on. I can wear any sort of shoe I want with it.
What made you say, fuck it, I'm going to fight this?
Say again?
What made you say, fuck it, I'm going to fight this when you started to have your physical problems? Oh. Because I'm amazed by this. I mean, what made you toughen up and say, screw it, I'm gonna battle this?
It was the thought of actually giving up. And I mean, it's not necessarily in my nature to give up. I don't. I mean, look, you may walk away from one battle. That doesn't mean you've given up a war or going to go into a different direction to fight a different war. That doesn't mean you've given up.
Was it difficult during that time period, or did you have a moment where you just shut off the negative and embrace the positive?
I never got to a point where, and I'm sure some people do, poor buggers, and where they hate the world. Yeah.
Poor
why
bugger.
Did this happen to me?
Sitting right here. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I never really had that. Okay. My biggest gauge was when I ever had a drink. And if I had a drink and I started to get angry, that's when it was time to stop to having a drink. Yeah, because it was outside exterior forces that were making me angrier when I was responsible to do something for myself.
Excellent.
And whether doing that something for yourself was searching for an answer from one of those other organizations or those companies that can produce for you and make life a little more tolerable, that's what I mean.
Sure.
Well, I commend you for that, my friend.
Yeah,
I commend you for that. And
major brass balls.
The reason I bring up your wife.
Do you know one of them's bigger than the other?
Your balls?
Wait a minute, your brass balls? One of them's bigger
one's
than the
bigger
other?
than the other. Yes.
Okay, how'd that happen? Should I get that involved?
I don't know.
Time to cut me off.
Might as well ask.
So tell us about your brass balls.
Actually,
why is one bigger than the other? Why not?
I tell you the story about that.
Oy, this is rough. Okay.
I was going to wrestle for the very first time in Boston Garden.
Okay.
And I was being interviewed by Gorilla Monsoon.
All right.
Dead of winter.
Nice.
And history was a bit of a thing. I've always loved history. And not for that silly reason that if you don't follow history, you're doomed to
repeat it.
Repeat it, yes. Yeah. I never liked that silly bloke. Anyway.
Not bad for guys had 2 bottles. Next.
The USS Constitution's there, right?
Sure.
And one of the things that happened with all ships at the time in cold weather back then, they would stack their cannonball into piles with one ball at the top.
Sure.
And what sat on top was a thing called a brass monkey.
Okay.
And the brass monkey was there, snapped closed, to hold the balls in place for when the ship sailed. And so all you had to do is pick up a ball, drop it down the barrel, stuff it, fire, boom, bombs. Right. But then what would happen is, in cold weather, frost would get in us. And if you go back even further in time, back to the Egyptian times of the pyramids, they cut rock with water that froze overnight.
Okay.
Same situation. Water would condense under the cannonball and attach itself to the brass monkey. And if it got so cold, water expands when it becomes ice.
Right.
And it would break the balls off the brass monkey.
Right.
And that's what I said. He said, so what's the weather like for you out back? And I said, oh, this would freeze the balls off a brass monkey. I was almost fired.
And Monsoon's like, are you fucking kidding me right now?
He was
almost fired. Do you hear this?
he didn't know what to do. Anyway, there you are.
By the way, fan out there from Australia, Chris Lee, is asking,
Chris.
and again, I don't understand it, but he says you'll get it.
Okay. What's he got?
Vegematic sandwich?
Vegemite sandwich.
That's wait a minute, that's that video, Land Down Under. He just smiled and gave me a Vegemite sandwich.
Oh, yeah, that's the,
So what is a Vegemite sandwich?
Yeah,
A
what is
Vegemite sandwich is 2 pieces of bread, generally white.
Okay.
Not for any reason, but it's
What's
just white.
in this Vegemite sandwich?
It is, Vegemite itself tastes like beef, like very, very, very thick and reduced
Are you trying
beef
to
stock.
tempt me? But that's the lines in the song. Go
Remember,
on.
I'm 6'4" and full of muscles.
There we go. But this is great. This is great. Okay. So what's in this?
Anyway,
Vegemite?
it's very strong of beef, but it's
Okay.
got no beef in it at all. It's actually a yeast extract
It's
from
what?
making bread.
What's in this thing?
A yeast extract.
Well, what is that?
It's when you cook something, you get an extract. You yield off
It's
stuff.
an extract sandwich?
No, don't be a dope, Pharaoh. For goodness sake,
Boy, us Americans are stupid,
listen to the rest
especially
of the
when we've
story.
had a few.
So what would happen? They turned the yeast extract and called it Vegemite and made it into a spread.
Okay.
So now you take your bread and you butter it, and then you put a nice spread of Vegemite on, just a little light
Okay.
spread, and it's tasty. Or you put it on your toast of a morning.
Is Men at Work like the Beatles of Australia? I'm just throwing it out there.
No,
I'm curious.
AC/DC's the Beatles of
The
Australia.
Beatles are the Beatles of Australia. Okay.
No, AC/DC. Dopey.
AC/DC. You know what? That's correct. That is correct. AC/DC's like gods in Australia.
I'm just listening.
That was. Here,
What's
have a
the
few
matter,
more.
Monte?
There you
Haven't
go.
I spoken
just
to you
listen.
enough?
I'm lost. I'm lost. We're talking about
Can I
Vegemite.
ask about Killicon?
Go ahead,
I've
ask
got a
about
question here about one of my.
Hang on, Monty. Try and keep up, mate. Otherwise, there's a
trying.
little table over in the corner you can sit at.
Just give me the dunce hat. I'll just go and walk in the dunce
I
hat.
officially love Outback Jack. Jack, I gotta ask you.
Yes.
Killicon.
Yes.
Okay. I loved Killicon. He's one of my early memories. He fought Backlund at the Garden. What was your relationship with Killicon? Can you
He
tell
was
me
a
little bit?
dope.
He was what?
He was a dope.
He was a dope.
Yeah, the laziest,
rough. He's
biggest,
killing my
ugliest
legends
man
here.
you'd ever want to meet.
I never want to meet Killicon.
No, he was just lazy.
Why?
He wouldn't work.
He wouldn't work.
No, I mean, I don't think I'm
He
giving
broke
away any.
Andre the Giant's ankle. What's going on here?
I don't remember that.
Oh,
that
was
might have been
before
just
you. That was
clumsy.
before you, to be fair. Okay.
Khan and I went around for quite a while. We're trying to get him over to build him up heat for, I think, for him and Hulk somewhere.
Yeah, you were getting him ready for Hogan.
Yeah,
right?
and Fuji wasn't even impressed with Khan. He was
Really?
just heavy and lazy. Like, everybody helps everybody when you're going to take somebody out for a body slam.
Okay.
I mean, it's just the facts.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think I'm giving away any serious
sure.
secrets.
Sure.
So I'm working a match with him actually out in Seattle. And I couldn't lift this prick up. He wouldn't get up. He'd sit on my arm. And I was like, Jesus Christ. And Fuji's almost wants to hit him with his cane, and because he's screaming to him, work, you prick, work.
So
So
wait a second. So to the dope at home, the mark at home, we're watching this on the channel, and we're thinking that Fuji is his representative, but Fuji's actually secretly rooting for you because this guy can't work.
everybody wants a good mate. Everybody wants a good show.
Right, right.
My God.
Everybody wants a good show.
Yeah.
Okay.
And how can I get up some heat if he's? I mean, how can I make a comeback
Right.
if he's not he's not doing the right thing
Did
by
he
me to
speak fluent
sell
English?
my high spot?
Did Khan speak fluent English? Or
Of
you
course
have
he did.
Oh, so he did?
Yeah.
So did you talk to him behind the scenes? Like, what the hell are you doing, you Mongolian nightmare? I mean,
I asked him what the fuck his game was, but then he adjusted my back 3 times, and I said, okay, that's all right. But,
Okay.
don't make me look like an ass out there, will you?
what was your thoughts on Vince McMahon? Your memories of Junior?
Again, Junior?
Yeah, Junior.
Don?
Yeah, no, Vince Jr.
Oh, Vince Jr.
Yeah,
Oh, I
what
thought
was
you
your
meant.
thoughts on Vince Jr. when you worked with him?
Whoops.
You all right there?
Sorry.
See, place is haunted.
And he's
because
cutting me off. Go on.
I think I'm developing more and more Alzheimer's, but, Vince and I aren't mates.
You guys were good?
No, we're not mates.
Oh, you're not mates.
No,
What-
I
What
wouldn't.
was the
I
problem
wouldn't
with,
share. I wouldn't share a beer with him if you paid me.
Interesting. What was the problem with Junior? And don't be shy, because if you're ever going to tell how you felt about Vince Jr.,
He's a
this is-
narcissistic egomaniac.
Really?
He's a narcissistic, infantile egomaniac.
Infantile. Okay. That's fair enough. Give us reasons why. What did he do that,
If Vince didn't think of it, it never happened.
Okay. All right. Did you ever have debates with him about your character? Like where you wanted to go?
Not especially. One of the biggest things was, and I was talking to somebody else about this earlier today, I would have liked to have been told something.
Okay.
I didn't get told anything.
Nothing.
Nothing. I mean, from the point of I didn't know where to go, I didn't know how to get there, I didn't know what they wanted, and finally, you'd get a bit of a clue, but what do you want me to do for this particular? Of course, in some aspect of that, you're expected to know things. That comes naturally.
Sure.
But if you're trying to work an angle or you're trying to work, some particular shtick, and you don't get told,
Right.
and then you wonder why the thing looks like shit.
Did you leave there wondering why you were brought there in the first place?
Say that again?
Did you leave there wondering why you were brought there in the first place?
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay. When you first got there, was Vince clear with you as to
No,
what he
that's
expected
that's
of
the
you?
point. I'm saying from day
Okay.
one.
So you were hazy the whole way through your run.
I was.
Wow.
I mean, I was under the stand. I was understood I was a babyface.
All right.
And I was to, again, like I said, using Bob Buckland as the reference, to be a proper ambassador for the fans.
Do you think the fair statement would be that Crocodile Dundee took off, great movie, they found this really big guy that's good wrestler.
Well, you brought in just
that
as a
could be-
prop.
That as
I
from
mean,
Australia,
off the movie.
let me run off that gimmick, and then when it wore out, he was done with it.
Did Vince just do this as a whim?
Vince is mercenary enough and calculating enough to do exactly that.
Yeah.
To bring somebody in, I don't give a shit if he stays 6 months or 6 years.
Right.
If he's still working, that's fine.
Right.
Was the pay worth it though? You're like, hey, you know what?
Yeah,
Hell,
was it worth
great.
it? Honestly, was it worth it to you in the long run? It should be. I mean,
Initially, it wasn't bad. Yeah,
Okay.
initially it was quite good.
Okay.
And then it started to do a Sahara mirage.
Right. Are you surprised at the
You would
longevity?
understand
I mean,
that,
after
Pharaoh.
all, you were just here in Queens for the big event.
Yes.
Are you surprised at the longevity of what you did for a very? It's 86 to 88. I mean, it's a very short time period. Are you surprised?
No,
at
it's actually longer. It was 86 to 1990. mate.
Okay, but you know what I'm getting at. It was.
I know,
It was,
yes, it
It was
wasn't-
a short window.
yeah,
Are you
it
surprised
wasn't like
at the
15 years.
longevity of what you did in those few short years?
One way to look at that on a positive note is look at the impact I've made for those 4 years.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
From the standpoint
Exactly.
of here I am 33 years later.
That's right.
And people still want to come and see and shake hands with Outback Jack and introduce their sons or their daughters and
Right.
and shake hands and sit down and get a smile and have a
So,
howdy g'day.
How does that make you feel? And don't you think maybe you owe Vince McMahon a little gratitude because, hey,
Or at least
You
a
created that
A
character.
tip of the cap. Let's not say he's ready to throw him a party, but would you give a tip of the cap to Vince for the fact that it is 33 years
From
later?
a cost benefit analysis, no.
Okay, fair enough.
But I mean,
What's
look,
fair
the
enough?
point is,
I wanna know
there.
why.
That's how he
How many
feels.
times have I got to say thank you?
Right.
I'm not saying to say thank you. What I'm saying to you is when you look back and you go, hey, look, you know what? People still adore me for the character that
True.
I portrayed.
True.
And you know what?
True.
As much as he's an egotistical whatever, he gave me this opportunity to be adored by all these millions of people.
Different thing. Fact of the matter is, Vince wrote a one-dimensional name on a piece of paper.
Okay.
I took that name, even with the limited tools that I had to operate with, and I turned it into a three-dimensional character that is still very much enjoyed 33 years after the event.
Right. From the artistic standpoint, because he's the artist, yeah, I can totally understand what he's saying.
I have a good question from a fan, but I did notice something in the interview. You mentioned him a couple of times. He's been in studio. We're big fans of his, real gentleman, Bob Backlund. You've mentioned him a few times. Why do you keep bringing up Backlund's name? What's
Because
your thought?
I'll tell you why. Bob Backlund was a fellow that, right or wrong, believed he was destined to be world champion or was world champion and didn't want to give up world champion.
Right.
And that he missed the business part of it there, but that's fine. The main thing I talk about Bob Backlund was wherever he wrestled, at the end of the night when he was leaving, after he'd finished, he would stand out back and he would sign autographs for all the kids and whoever waited.
He was real.
And that is gentlemanly. Yes. And that's what Outback Jack still tries to do.
Right.
Well, I can tell you, that's
Can't
one thing
argue
we
with that.
realized from Bob, that
Can't argue
Bob
with it.
is Bob.
Bob
And
Backlund was Bob Backlund when we met him.
quick question from a
he's
fan.
Bob Backlund.
Iso Russ is asking, did you get paid well for your LJN figure?
What, the toy?
I will tell you the absolute truth.
Go ahead.
In the contract I got from Vince, I was paid 1/4 of 1 cent
Wow.
per
Dude,
doll.
Vince is rough, bro.
That seems
So I had
Are
to
you
sell
actually saying
$4
Vince is rough? That
to make a
works.
penny.
What
So
was
I
that?
had to sell
A quarter of a penny.
$400 to make $1.
You got a quarter of a penny.
Quarter of a penny.
Thoughts?
So let me ask you this question. So
right.
So
I had this-
knows the answer there.
I had this argument
That's
with the
rough.
pro wrestling
Oh, boy.
experts here, okay, all the time, right? And they always say that Vince is this guy that takes advantage of people.
There's an
whatever
extreme
else.
take on Vince McMahon.
So
yes.
I guess my question is, why did you sign that type of deal? Do you hold responsibility for taking that deal, or you'd be like, no, I ain't going for that?
I was as dumb as a box of rocks, mate.
Okay.
And you're like,
Fair
screw it.
enough. He's being honest.
That's fair.
Fair enough.
That's fair.
Fair enough. You
I
wanted
mean-
you wanted your dreams to come true, right?
I didn't know anything about dreams. I just wanted to get out of Australia.
Okay. All right. That works.
If you could do it again and you know more, I
Would
guess
you do it
probably you
again?
wouldn't do it again.
Look, if I could be 30 years old again,
Yeah, what would-
and go back and do some of this a bit differently,
Okay.
I'm sure there's be some knuckles bounced off some chins, and the game would be a little different.
Ooh. Who are we bouncing the knuckles off of?
People that I don't like. Don't be nosy.
Do you care to specify, or we can leave it be if you want? But who's getting knuckleized, if I can ask?
I don't remember.
Oh,
I've got
all right,
Alzheimer's.
fair
Remember
enough.
that?
I've got Alzheimer's.
I'll
Well, I can't wait to use
I'll
that
ask you this
line in
question.
about 5 years.
Did
maybe
anyone
2.
look out for you
Oh.
at all?
How do you mean
and say,
look
hey,
out for
look,
me?
Let me help you here. Like, they're
Did you
taking
have any
advantage of
veterans
you.
advising you to like look out for this or look out for that?
Actually, yeah, I did.
Okay.
Randy Savage did.
Macho Man.
Okay.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
I've stayed to this day very good friends with his brother Lanny.
Lanny's awesome. We love Lanny. Okay.
Bob Slaughter did actually.
Sergeant Effin Slaughter.
Yes.
Very nice. How was Hogan?
Hogan was good, but you know,
Hogan was good to
Hogan unfortunately at the time,
Okay.
Hogan had his own worries.
Sure.
Not necessarily worries.
Well, keeping his leverage in
just
the
keeping
business.
yes.
Right.
The
right.
big thing, and I didn't realize this is the sophistication and the backstage pageantry that goes on. You've got to worry about yourself, and there's
Sure.
politics that goes on behind the stage,
yeah.
and
Oh,
you know, I'm sure Hulk was hunted by everybody because he's the king of the mountain.
That's right. That's right. Putting you on the spot, but respectfully putting you on the spot. Who are the people that you really wish? I mean, who are the people that were actually bad for the business in your opinion back then? Who was the real backstabbers and the two talkers and the pricks? I mean, if you're comfortable enough, can you share that with us? Was there certain people that were like absolutely detrimental to the big picture?
If there was going to be a title for that, you could hang around their necks, and I
Sure.
think it was the Bulldogs, and not so much Davy Boy Smith. He was a follower. It was Tommy who was the agent provocateur and
Tommy.
instigator.
Tommy.
And by the way, I totally agree with you about Dynamite Kid.
Yeah.
When he passed and
Yeah.
people were tripping the life
Yeah.
fantastic about his passing, the guy just wasn't a good guy.
Didn't
Beyond
seem
what he
to
did
be.
with you,
Didn't seem to
with
be.
the Rougeau
Well,
brothers.
I wasn't the only one. I mean,
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
He wasn't.
Right.
This is what I find very interesting. I've saw a lot of your interviews, which are fantastic. You're an incredible. You're an icon.
Yeah.
well,
And
thank you.
Congratulations
Yep.
for that.
Thank you.
Because that's what you are.
Encyclopedia.
The thing I
Revolve.
didn't
Yep.
understand is,
Yep.
and from watching your interviews and reading about you, you seem to be fairly close with Andre the Giant.
Oh.
A lot of yes, I
Right?
was very
But this
close.
is what I don't. Watching these, I don't understand. Andre had the power. That if anyone had power, it was Andre.
Right.
When
or
you're
leverage.
Sitting, when you're
or leverage.
sitting there
Leverage.
hanging with Andre, I'm sure, just like any other human being, you're turning around to him and bitching about Dynamite Kid or bitching about whoever's pissing you off.
No, that's where you're wrong.
You
Okay.
weren't a bitcher.
Those things you keep to yourself.
You just kept it to
So
yourself.
you weren't a bitcher. That's
No,
fine.
no, that's
fine.
Didn't you think sometime,
That's
like,
fine.
you wanted to advance and this guy has leverage and say, hey, look, Andre, these guys are really fucking with me right
Or
now.
was there just a pecking order that you just left
And why
alone?
didn't you do that? I get, but why didn't you do that?
You keep forgetting I've got brass balls. That's stuff you keep to yourself.
Gotcha.
Okay. Okay.
Would you do it differently now that you know? Maybe you would have said something to the man.
I might have said something quietly.
Okay.
Right.
You know,
Do you think Andre would have done anything about it?
I never would have asked him, so that's a moot,
All right.
moot point.
All right. All right. All right. Well, you said you might have said something. Who would you have said that something to? You know.
No, I would. The only thing I would have said to him was, Andre, can you give me some clues?
Okay.
And he would have said, boss, and rattled off some stuff.
Who was most helpful?
Wait a
to
minute,
you?
hold on. I'm sorry, I missed that.
He said, "Boss, rattle off some."
Called everybody boss.
Boss, what?
Andre called everybody boss.
What
Yeah.
would he have said to you?
Right.
I said he would have said boss and then rattled off some things or
Okay, got it.
things that he
Right.
would have thought
Right.
helpful.
So you wish you had maybe like inquired more from the wise heads who had been around, perhaps, or
Look, everybody needs mentors or rabbis, as it were.
sure.
I mean, I was in a job a long time ago when the world was flat, and you had mentors, and you had rabbis, and that helped you get through things. And that was a far tougher job than any of this stuff.
Well, I want to say number one, icon in wrestling, but it doesn't compare to the human being you are. And kudos to you, sir, for the wisdom that you've shared with us, and kudos to the person you are. We're gonna hit you. We're out of time. We're gonna hit you with something called the Pharaoh's final question.
You're
Not
just saying that because you want a Vegemite sandwich.
No, man, I don't even know
I
what
would
Vegemite
actually like to
sandwich is.
try a Vegemite sandwich.
Listen,
what are you talking
I got to
about?
be honest with you. Look, we asked you some questions that maybe you didn't want to answer.
Ah,
and
he was
were
great.
You were clearly, you spoke your mind, and not only that, sir. And I say sir respectively. You're a pretty impressive human being, and that's from the heart. But with that, we'll give you the Pharaoh's final question, and all I can say is thank you for taking your time here and your lovely wife.
Just
And
while I got a tissue.
don't cry.
Tissue. I barely know you. Oh, sorry.
The Pharaoh's final question, unscripted, might ask you a question.
What?
Do you like pickles? Do you like
I'm
eating
not
dog
gonna-
shit?
Why
I
do
don't
you-
know what's
I
going to
don't-
come out
why
of this
would
dude's
I
mouth.
ask him that?
Because he drank a lot of wine. But anyway,
I wouldn't ask him that
the
anyway.
Pharaoh's final question to this icon, Outback Jack.
Dear God. All right. Now I got to be original.
Got to do it.
This is rough. Who was your closest confidant in pro wrestling?
Clearly not Andre.
You know, I never spoke deeply to anybody because I just thought it was unseemly.
Interesting. You kept to yourself.
I wish you'd have asked me something. Did you learn something new in the last few days?
In the last... Okay. Did you learn something new in the last few days?
Yes, I did.
What did you learn?
And Pharaoh, would you like to know what that was?
Absolutely.
I learnt for the first time to do a reverse sear on a steak.
A what?
A reverse sear.
What is a sear?
Please explain that.
I don't even know what that is.
I know what a sear is, but what is a reverse?
You were talking about your Outback steaks, right?
Yeah.
And you
Outback
thought they
steak.
were
Oh, we're
fabulous.
back to the Outback. Okay.
Okay.
With a
Now,
blooming onion.
Here's
Okay.
here's when you're doing a good steak, you put a sear on it. You put it in generally a cast iron pan or a good pan,
Okay.
and you brown the outside very fast and
All
very
right,
high.
I'm getting
and
hungrier
you're
by the
getting it,
second, but
and then
okay.
you finish it up in the oven. Well, with a reverse sear, what you actually do is you partially cook the steak in the oven first,
Okay.
and then you sear it on the outside to finish.
Okay.
And it comes out perfectly medium rare, rare to medium rare, and for those ingrates, well done.
Wait a minute. I like it well done.
I
Now
don't.
I'm
I
an
like my
ingrate?
steak rare.
I like it burned.
Did I just call you an ingrate?
I think
that was
so.
English, so you wouldn't
I
get
still
too
love
confused.
you.
Let
But
me
I
ask
think
you this
so.
before we cut out.
Oh,
Isn't
well.
this much better than your regular interview?
Yeah,
asking
really.
you
Tell
the
us about that arm
static
bar back in
questions?
1986. What do you think? What do you think? Did we do okay?
Put us over, Jack.
Wait, yeah, tell us
The
how great we
Outback?
are.
What's that?
I can tell you all about aardvarks. They got long tongues, and they're very nosy.
This is rough, though. He just learned how to cook a steak seared.
Anyway, we
I'm-
want to
Reverse
thank you, sir,
seared.
for taking your time out.
yes.
You are an icon. It's
Thank
clear.
Mrs. Outback Jack, too.
It's clear.
Absolutely.
I
Thank
appreciate
you.
your candid
That's Christina over
conversation. Not so sure I agree with you about Vince McMahon Sr., but by the way, Jr. But
Hey,
by the
this
way,
is his personal
I am
experience.
a Vince McMahon lover.
Yes,
but I didn't
you
work
are.
for him.
I love
didn't
Vince,
work for
too.
him. I did not work for him.
But
so
I'm
it's not fair
realistic
for me to
about
say.
Vince.
But I
Okay.
will say that you are a.
He's an icon. He's in the encyclopedia.
Forget about being an icon.
He's in the encyclopedia.
He's an example to people that what you watch this video and you learn about this guy.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you,
Yeah.
you can change people's lives, my friend. So
He's good
thank you
stuff.
again, sir.
He's good stuff. And
An
kangaroos are
absolute
dumber than
pleasure
rats.
being here, chaps, and it's been wonderful to have such a really good backwards and forwards banter.
There we
You don't
go.
always get that.
There we go.
We try
Most
not
everybody's
to. We
drunk.
try not to. And again, usually it's a little more calmer, but Pharaoh's drank about 2 bottles of
You've
wine.
had about
I'm
two,
sure
Joe. What are you
it's a
talking
problem.
about?
But
Ah,
anyway,
this is
again,
rough.
a pleasure. It's been our honor. You are an icon. You are a hero. And the most important thing, you've changed the world. Remember
I
this.
take off my sunglasses to you.
Amen, brother.
Very nice.
I take my sunglasses off to you. Send us out, brother.
Yeah, and make sure he signs your book because he's in the encyclopedia.
Oh, no.
You've been watching Monte and the Pharaoh.
No more
This
drinks
is-
for Pharaoh, guys. Don't worry. The
What
other
are you
shows
talk-
he is
Dude,
not
I
drinking.
am so composed. This is like 1 of 5. We will see you shortly. Later.
Kevin Sullivan's up next.